Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman of the English-Speaking Union of the United States, Dr. Paul Beresford-Hill.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this meeting, the annual general meeting by video conference of the English-Speaking Union of the United States. It's my great pleasure as the chairman to welcome you all, and hope that many of you have had an opportunity to enjoy and spend some time engaging in some of the activities which we have been able to put forward for your pleasure and enjoyment, as well as our own education and learning as we've enjoyed this weekend. I thank very much Karen, Josh, and the whole team in New York for really putting together a fine program, and for us all to be able to gather together now at this annual general meeting. I have spoken so many times, and those of you who were with us at the board meeting and at the discussion that we held with James Raven and the contributions from previous board chairs and future board chairs, Miles Young. I'm sure that you've enjoyed that experience and hopefully gained something from it as we now look forward to looking for new leadership within our organization, and as we now take the English-Speaking Union to the next level, which I think we're all poised, ready, and excited to share in and to participate in. We're very, very fortunate today to have Jane Easton with us. Jane is Executive Director, as you all know, of the English-Speaking Union of the Commonwealth. And from her comfortable seat in the UK, she has agreed to join us. And Jane, I've introduced you and would love to hear from you and have you share your thoughts with our membership.
Thank you very much indeed, Chairman, and thank you for inviting me again to speak at the annual general meeting. Over the weekend, you've been celebrating the contributions of so many famous ESU members, not least our founder, Evelyn Wrench himself. And looking back through the history of the English-Speaking Union, there's a wonderful letter written by our then president, the late Duke of Edinburgh, in 1994, which speaks to the reasons the ESU was founded. And it includes this. The great thing about Sir Evelyn Wrench's idea is that it was relevant at the time it was conceived, and it has remained relevant ever since. Even then, a good idea cannot flourish by itself. It needs the vision and commitment of loyal supporters who alone can ensure that it will continue to achieve its founders' ambitions. So, as we gather as loyal supporters and reflecting on this year's theme of leadership, I'd like to pay tribute to the volunteer leadership that has been so much a part of the English-Speaking Union's ethos and its strength down the generations, and remains so today. So this is a message to everyone gathered for this annual general meeting. You are the leaders and the encouragers. You have the ESU vision, and you've all given countless hours, years of your professional experience, and not least generous donations to ensure that Evelyn Wrench's vision for friendship, for dialogue, education, and understanding across boundaries lives on and remains relevant. So this is a huge thank you to you all. Non-profit organisations like ours rely absolutely on goodwill and selfless giving. And in line with Sir Evelyn Wrench's aspirations, you continue to meet together, to make friends, to share your thirst for learning with the young people in our schools and communities. And they're the current generation, but they're also the next generation of ESU members, supporters and volunteers. And on your theme of membership renewal, I know that in your branches, you'll be encouraging all your members to invite their own friends and family into ESU membership. With so much ESU activity online now, nationally and internationally, it's easier than ever for everyone to take part. And as the season for buying gifts approaches, what better than an ESU membership for family and friends? Just a thought. We're certainly promoting this in the UK. On Friday afternoon, as Paul has just referred to, we heard from a distinguished panel of speakers who reminded us that we all have a part to play in leading the way for promoting civility and discourse, for encouraging constructive debate, in facilitating opportunities, especially for those with more limited resources, to take part in performance, educational exchange and scholarship opportunities based on the English language, and in furtherance of understanding peace and our wider global responsibilities. Dr. Beresford-Hill spoke passionately about the UN work on climate change, perhaps our biggest global challenge. So in partnership with parents, with teachers, and other advocates for dialogue and debate around the world, the ESU has a continuing and a leading role to play in ensuring that young people grow up to be engaged and articulate and able to take part in that global dialogue. In my very first address to this annual general meeting, gosh, way back in October 2014, I spoke about succession planning for branch leadership. Some of you may remember encouraging all branch presidents to think about building their branch committees and making plans for the future. You've all risen wonderfully to that challenge, and with exceptional support from your board and from colleagues in the New York office, the ESU of the United States is strong and relevant and making the difference in so many people's lives that Evelyn Wrench would have appreciated and applauded. So as you vote in the National Board and endorse the educational plans for the coming year, I do want to thank each and every one of you for your friendship, for your shared leadership, and your daily commitment to the challenge that Evelyn Wrench gave us all, namely the mutual advancement of education of the English-speaking peoples of the world. It's a very big vision indeed, isn't it? And it's our reason for being together this weekend. And thank you again for everything you all do to make it a reality. Chairman, thank you very much.
An absolute pleasure, Jane. I had an opportunity over the summer of traveling to England, and I took that opportunity to include a side trip to Oxford, where I had the wonderful, wonderful pleasure of having afternoon tea in the Warden's Garden at New College, Oxford, with our new chairman in the UK, Mr. Miles Young, Warden of Wadham College, not Wadham College, New College, sorry, Wadham. And Jane was there as well. And we had a most wonderful, wonderful talk and chat about the ESU, about its vision, about its growth, about its expansion. And in a sense, for me, it was bittersweet because this, as you all know, is my last meeting as chair of the ESU. But at the same time, I came away from that meeting with incredible hope and an incredible feeling of optimism that leadership is there in the UK and internationally, and as we all know, here in the United States as well. So I'd like to take this opportunity now of handing the floor to the President of the English-Speaking Union, Dr. E. Quinn Pieper, for his report. Quinn.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. If you will look at the President's report, I'll just take this in order. First, we discussed the annual board campaign. And this was launched in 2014 when I became president. All members of the board are invited to give and asked to give a minimum of $1,000 a year. We want 100% compliance with this so that we will be in a good position to apply for grants and from foundations. And we've had great success with this. And as you see, the purpose of this is to allow operating expenses from the national headquarters. And it is an unrestricted gift, meaning that it goes directly to the headquarters for operational expenses. And if you look at the annual board giving campaign listed, you can see that since 2014, we've made some great progress. We're so fortunate in that most of our board members are so committed that they give above and beyond the $1,000. So if you look at the raised versus the goal, we do very well with this. There was a little dip in 2018 when we had some organizational administrative challenges, but since then we are coming back very strong. In addition to this, we'll have a year-end appeal, and that will be coming. You'll get more information about that. Let's look at endowment fundraising. This is really spectacular. We have really focused on 3 major programs here: the National Shakespeare Competition, the Evelyn Rynch, and the Laward. Look at the numbers, the goal, and what's raised to date. A lot of this is due to participation and generosity, but also some of this, we can thank our current executive director, who was able to find different funds and merge them to make these programs possible. And, you know, I think it has been under the leadership of Paul that we have really focused on members and branches. We have listened to you. We have returned the Evelyn Rynch speaker. It's stronger than ever before. And with the generosity of Donald Best, we're really close to reaching that goal. National Shakespeare looks great. We're almost at the goal of $1 million. And the Laward looks fantastic as well. Let's talk about foundation giving. The Marietta and Andrew Romay Foundation continue to support us. This year, we're going to get $200,000, and this goes to support the ARNIC program. But also, there are other foundations listed as well, and we want to acknowledge the generosity of those. And those are listed in your program, in the notes. Now, looking forward, there's a very exciting January 12th event that I hope all of you will either attend in person or virtually. But the Princess Royal is coming to New York, and we feel fairly confident that this is going to happen. She is sending, Her Royal Highness is sending her security team in November to check out the different places, and as they do when there's a royal visitor. We last had a royal visitor in 1989 when Prince Philip came. And as you may recall, Princess Anne was going to try to come last year, but because of COVID, we had to cancel that. But she's very committed. She will come for a gala that night. She will give a speech. In addition, we will honor Dr. Paul Beresford Hill with a beautiful trophy to celebrate his wonderful leadership within our organization. And this was acquired with our antiques expert on the board, Dr. Robin Sinclair, and generous donations of other people who are listed. We will have a National Shakespeare Competition contestant. We will have some testimonials from ESU beneficiaries, the Laward, and the secondary school exchange scholars. And then I will play a little bit of, I think, Gershwin and an English composer to lighten the mood. And then I do want to stress that it also will be a virtual gala as well as an in-person attendance. And I think Karen, in her report, will touch on the limitations given the COVID. And, you know, it is somewhat unpredictable what will happen with winter coming, but we will persevere. And I think this is going to be a tremendous gala event and great for the ESU. We will reach you via email and social media And we will also be partnering with other Anglo-American organizations to pull this off. So I think this is the end of the report. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer at this time. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Quinn. Very exciting and very, very productive things happening, have happened, and in the future. And we really appreciate the work that you're putting in to making these things happen. I'd like to now invite Duncan Karcher, who is the chair of the Nominations Committee, to give us his report. Duncan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. Well, on behalf of the entire nominating committee, which consists of Robin Sinclair, Noel Sloan, Betty Miller, Quinn Cooper, and myself, I just wanted to take this opportunity to give you all just a little perspective. I was asked to chair the nominating committee 3 years ago. At that time, especially during the AGMs, it was communicated to me and there was concern raised that the board had become a bit too New York and New York City centric, while the branches were not receiving adequate representation. The nominating committee has taken those points very seriously. And as a result, I'm very pleased to report, as a result of the entire work of the nominating committee, by this year, we will be 80% non-New York. That's 80. So only 20% of the board members will be based in New York City. So I think it just makes it more of a fair organization. There's representation across the board, and that's what we're striving for. So again, the members spoke and we certainly listened. So with that said, by now, you should have received the slate of candidates for the board of directors via email. So we currently have a quorum of branch delegates and proxies that are present. So now we will proceed with the vote. So a poll will pop up on your screens. If you are a voting delegate or proxy for your branch, please indicate your approval for the slate of board candidates by clicking yes. The votes are being tabulated.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience, Duncan. I can say the votes have been tabulated. It is a unanimous yay vote.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm proud to announce that the slate of board candidates has been approved. So with that, thank you all for your participation. If there's any questions, let me know.
There was one question from David Gizzard, and I'm not sure if it has popped up on the chat screen.
It is. I'll go ahead and dictate Dave's question. He's asking, who are the nominees? If you just want to give the names and a brief statement on each.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, so the 5 new candidates are Jackie Abrams, Donald Best, Barbara Callahan, Dana Ivey, and Bruce Thompson. I'll read a little bit about their bios since that was what was requested here. In addition, the following candidates who are current members will continue to be on the board as well. And that would start off with Daryl McCormick, Barbara Hughes, Fred London, David Martinelli, Jill Richardson, Noel Sloan, Ralph Windrum. And we also have Quinn Pieper, Cheryl Albuquerque, myself, Betty Miller, Julia Vanderwater, Janet Hedeke, Susan Ferris, and Genevieve Brown Metzger. I'll just read a brief summary here of the bios of the new candidates. Jackie Abrams, she's based in Winter Park, Florida. Jackie Abrams attended Thiel College and Penn State University, obtaining degrees in mathematics and education. Jackie taught high school mathematics for over 10 years before starting a manufacturing company in Central Florida in 1984 called Florida Marking Products. She's manufactured signs, labels. She's done a ton of work for NASA, Lockheed, Disney World, and she's now in retirement. So Jackie has become a very active in many 501c3 organizations. She served as board member of the University Club of Winter Park, Sigma Kappa Alumni Chapter of Central Florida, and is presently a board member and the treasurer of the ESU Central Florida branch. Jackie enjoys the many events offered by these organizations and their impact on her community. Donald Best, some of you might be familiar with Donald already. He's based in Los Angeles, California. Donald is a partner in real estate ventures and is or has been a trustee, fiduciary, and executor. He devotes a substantial amount of time to volunteer U.S. and international charity work. Donald Best has been a member of the San Francisco branch of the English-speaking Union of the United States at Dartmouth House in London for over 30 years. He's originally from California, has been a part-time annual resident in England since 1978. Again, there's more details in the write-up here, but just to give you a little summary of these individuals. Barbara Callahan, she holds degrees in math statistics, also corporate finance from George Washington University and New York University, my alma mater. She worked at Citibank for many years and was vice president of human resources in its US private bank. Again, she's done a ton of work, both in the New York area and Florida as well. Fourth candidate is Dana Ivey. She's based here in New York City. Dana Ivey is a 5-time Tony nominee, with her most recent role as Lady Candor in The School for Scandal at the Red Bull Theater in New York City. In addition to her Tony nominations, she has received 2 Obie Awards, a Drama Desk Award, and was inducted into the Theater Hall of Fame in 2008. Before moving to New York, Dana was a classical music DJ for 3 years in her hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. She graduated from Rollins College in 1963, where she later received an honorary doctorate. From 1963 to 64, she studied at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art on a Fulbright grant. She has served on the boards of the Acting Company and Theater for a New Audience for over 20 years. For 18 years, she held an elected position on the board of the Actors Equity Association. She is currently a member of the Archaeological Institute of America and on the local board of the American Research Center in Egypt. And she's also served as one of our judges for the Shakespeare competition. The fifth and final candidate, new candidate, is Bruce Thompson. He's based in Gibsonia, Pennsylvania. Bruce is a seasoned board member and executive with extensive experience in the nonprofit, automotive, aerospace, aluminum products, manufacturing, and hospitality sectors. His broad background also includes the C-suite role responsibility for the successful separation of a $14 billion firm into 2 publicly traded companies, and leadership of a 20,000 member nonprofit professional association in achieving record financial and operational results. A tireless advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion, Bruce served as steering committee chairman of the Alcoa Arconic African Heritage Network and implemented programs that improved recruitment, retention, and advancement of diverse employees. He was awarded ESU's Leward Scholarship to study at London School of Economics and has supported the organization financially for many years. He taught a graduate level finance course at Wayne State University and holds degrees from Stanford, Princeton, and Howard Universities. Impressive. Bruce currently serves as president of Hospitality Development Company, a hotel ownership, development, and management group with properties in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And that's it.
Very, very good work for the nomination from the nominations committee. I really do think you've done a splendid job, and I congratulate you on behalf of our organization. I'm now going to hand the chair to David Martinelli, who is going to give us the report of the Finance Committee and the unaudited financial report for 2021. David.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. I hope everyone can hear me. Here comes my report for the Finance Committee. We had a solid year. Our net assets reached 19.055 million as of June 30 of 2021. The ESU's endowment, aided by a very strong bull market, reached 15.9 million at the close of 2021 fiscal year. That was an increase of 2.8 million over the prior year. In terms of revenue, total operating revenue came in at 1.442 million, a slight decrease from the previous year. I think the drop is really attributable to the impact of COVID-19 on a lot of the ESU programs. There was also a slight decrease in overall expenses from fiscal year 2020 to fiscal year 2021. We went from 2.013 million to 1.921 million, again, driven by less programs being undertaken and less COVID impact on the whole program. The general administrative expenses remain flat. These are mainly consisting of salaries, related benefits, and other fixed costs. The organization was very lucky to secure 2 rounds of Paycheck Protection Program loans, PPP, amounting to $347,000. These loans have been legally released and will be recognized as income in fiscal year 2022. So just to recap, from an overall perspective, we're in a solid position. Total assets as of June 30, 2021, again at 19.054 million. The endowment at 15.931, cash on hand at 557,000. The value of the property at 3.636 million. Our liabilities for the year that included PPP amounted to 486,000, giving us a total overall asset value of 20,244,000. Comparing this to June 30, 2020, that was 17,639. So a healthy increase. The ESU is in a great position at the moment. We're having quarterly meetings with Moore's Asset Management to ensure that everything is being handled as efficiently as possible. And we end the fiscal year, which, just to be sure, is unaudited and subject to revision, in a pretty good stead. So here concludes my finance report, unless there are any questions from the audience.
There is a question from the audience from Charles Matthew. Do we have a budget for 2021, 2022?
We do. I think, Karen, I'm not sure if you want to speak on this one, but I think it's we can release this in due course, but I think it's still being talked about. So
yeah, the 2021 budget has been approved. And what I am going to suggest is, now that we have regular meetings with the treasurers and branches through our finance department, we can share a top line budget with everyone at that particular point for 2021. Any other questions?
Is that all right? Okay, thank you very much indeed, David, for a very comprehensive and I would say a very encouraging report. I'm now going to ask Noel Sloan, Chair of the Audit Committee, to give us his report.
Thank you. I think you're all aware that for the last set of published financials, we received a clean audit. This was the result of a great deal of hard work by the branches and a group of people at National. And I thank all of you who contributed to this excellent result. I think one of the key features of that year's audit process was the strong cooperation we had between the branches and National. The audit fee for that year was $70,000. I'm very pleased to tell you that the audit firm has indicated that because of the improvements we've made, that fee is likely to fall by between $5,000 and $10,000 in the current year. The current year's audit has begun. Next week, the auditors will start looking at the branches. I'm sure you recall that for the last year, the board waived any financial contribution from the branches. And to celebrate the progress we've made and what we hope will be further progress, I'm delighted to tell you that the board has again this year waived any financial contribution from the branches. That is my report. If there are any questions, I will do my utmost to answer them.
So floor is open for any questions on the audit. No? Thank you very much indeed, Noel. And thank you also to Karen and the staff at the ESU. I just want to reiterate what Noel said, that the support from the staff and from our finance group has been really quite excellent in these past months as we have come to terms with audits and ensuring that our financial records are totally up to date. Now I'd like to invite our Executive Director, Karen Kopowicz, to give us her report on the State of the Union.
Yes, Josh, might you call up the slides that I prepared? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some top line subjects and kind of review from 30,000 feet some of the things that we achieved this year in a very challenging year, but also drive some attention to some of the challenges that we do have ahead of us. Followed by that will be a presentation from each of our program people, along with Josh Campbell-Gonzalez, talking about the branches. And it will probably give you an overall picture of where we stand at the moment. Given the broader sense of transparency across the board, not only through our work with the branch leadership team, but also through the work that the individual program people have been doing with regular town halls and regular discussions on programming. I think we've made great strides. So many of these things will not be a surprise to many of you, but it will be good to have a touch point in terms of many of the things that we have accomplished and many of the things that we're looking forward to. I think that one of the biggest changes or one of the biggest challenges over the past couple of years since I've been executive director is moving the organization and building a branch-centric national operations team. I think that this weekend has been an illustration of that with the breakout sessions prepared by Julia Vanderwater and also Josh Campbell-Gonzalez, and also the work of the new regional reps. And I think I can only feel as if this is going to continue in a very strong way. I think that one of the things that many of you may or may not be available is COVID has really made us aware of certain operational challenges, and adapting our operation structure to a new hybrid work environment has been one of the big challenges of the past year. We currently have a new operation structure. I don't know if any of you are aware of it. There have been some bumps in communications, but I think that through our computer work and through a lot of telecommunications challenges, we have been able to really respond to needs. You probably don't know the fact that right now our current operation in the office is people have the option of working from home up to 3 days a week. 2 days a week they work in the office, Thursday of which is a day when everybody is available and on site, where we have our general meetings and our general discussions. But overall, the staff has performed brilliantly through the pandemic. And I also feel as if they will continue to do so. And the hybrid work environment has added to productivity in an odd way. And at this particular point, we are working some of the challenges of that particular as every corporation is, those particular challenges. But we feel very positive, and we feel that the staff is energized and focused on the future. I think that the using and communicating on digital platforms has been a challenge for all of us, especially with the branches. But I think that our structure has really allowed us to start to explore supporting the branches in a way where digital technology and Zoom calls and everything else could be a tool within the branches so that they could further communicate with their constituents. Now, nobody is denying the fact that the core of the branch world is in-person connection and social interaction. This should never diminish in terms of the work that you do, but digital technology can give you an added tool and an opportunity to further communicate with potential and new members. And our commitment as a result of the work that the branch task force had really kind of clearly defined for us will continue, so that you will have the tools to really move forward with that. The other thing is celebrating a centennial during a pandemic. I think that we had a wonderful, wonderful centennial last year. We really kind of overcame all of the challenges, but as Quinn predicted, we look forward to this year. And as he mentioned, on January 12th, as of right now, given the fact that everything stays in the direction that it's going, that we will have the Princess Will joining us on January 12th at the Cosmopolitan Club in New York City. It is probably going to be a smaller event than we had originally anticipated 2 years ago. We will be doing the event in person with a limited number of seats. I think we have about 150 to 175 seats available, which we will be mindful of with regard to COVID. The club requires that everybody be fully vaccinated. And so we will be reaching out to certain constituents who would be willing to travel to New York to join us at the event. And also what we'll be doing, we'll be making available to all of our members and all of our branches hybrid tickets, so that you could also experience the event digitally through streaming. So stay tuned, because over the next couple of months and over the next couple of weeks, we'll be sending you more information and working with the regional reps and working with the branches, helping you in terms of how we could secure the support of not only our donors, but also our branches and our members to really partake in this really exciting event. So I look forward to that, and I look forward to seeing you all there, either in person or through streaming. The other thing that we've been talking a great deal about over the past weekend is the stabilization to funds to secure key programs for our future. We are on an approach now where we are stabilizing our top programs. And I think that the fund spend, the endowment fund that we put in place a couple of years ago, when we realized that we can get support not only from donors, but also from branches for programs that would secure our really the core of who we are in perpetuity, could be placed in effect. And I think that through the outreach for our Shakespeare competition, our Evelyn Wrench program, that we've been able to achieve that. And I thank you all, and I congratulate you all, because that was a very good turning point for us. One of the things that were discussed during the actual conference was the expansion of creating other types of funds and endowment to create other types of programming. So that will be something that we'll be looking to for the future. Finally, I think Paul touched on this, again, transparency, creating a strong financial infrastructure. And I think right now, through the work of the financial team, we have really kind of established that with regular meetings with our treasurers and with our branch presidents on changes in our financial structure with regard to compliance. And we see that as a key element moving forward. Thank you all again. And I just wanted to briefly touch on the challenges ahead. And I think that one of the things, again, talked about a great deal at this conference is defining and achieving branch and membership growth. It's part of our reality as members of the ESU, and it's one of our focuses for the future. I will touch on this again. The organization has always been challenged with regard to fundraising. Years ago, the actual real estate in New York has allowed the organization to fare well. We have a very strong endowment. The stock market has really helped us, but our challenges with new revenue streams and sources still continues to be top of our list. Two of the things that I think we've established is the use of stabilizing funds for long-term program growth, hence the endowments. But also one of the things that we're really kind of working towards going forward is really cultivation of our alumni and our community at large. Anyone you reach out to with regard to the ESU talks about the impact that it's had on their lives. And we are trying to reestablish those links with those people who have really been affected by the ESU and have not really been part of our community. So we'll be working on an effort to really re-engage and see how we could move forward with regard to that. I think further supporting the new board and branch leadership, I think that that's one of the things that's extremely important. We have a new board in place, but also not only from a national perspective, but also from a local perspective. I'm going to go back to programs. Again, we will be talking a lot from the program people on refreshing our programs and expanding our programs. And then finally, the communications landscape. It is ever changing. And as an organization, we are dedicated to improving our current communications, but also moving forward with the technology, the launch of a brand new website, which will be launched over the next month or two, which we're all very excited about, which will give the branches greater flexibility as far as communication is concerned. So I think all of those things are in place and are moving forward with that. If no one has any questions at the moment, does anyone have any questions of me? Josh? No? Okay. If not, then I'm going
Actually,
to...
there is one question from Vernon Danielson. Do we have a replacement for the controller?
Currently have what's happened, and I think we sent out the notification of Anthony DiFilippo has been promoted to financial manager. And Anthony has 30 years of experience, primarily working with the Catholic Relief Fund as a controller and a financial manager. So right now, Tony DiFilippo is running our financial operations. And I think we're very fortunate to have him because his expertise and experience will only help us grow going forward. Okay, anything else?
No other questions.
Okay, I am going to move on to the individual program people who will go through the programs and giving you top line overviews on where we stand with our individual programs. So Josh, please.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Josh. My name is Betty Trevino Roth, and I am the Education Programs Director for Shakespeare Performance and Writing Programs. And I'd like to begin, if I may, by thanking you all for giving me this opportunity to speak about our Shakespeare programming. To begin, a brief wrap-up of the 2021 competition, 2021 being the first of our next 100 years. It was, again, an all-digital competition in response to COVID. However, what we did was take a lot of the programs that we had begun in 2020 and expanded them. As Karen said, it's about new initiatives, expansion of programs, rejuvenation of programs, keeping the organization's educational programming relevant and current. We expanded our Teachers Recognition Award, which now benefits the teachers of the first, second, and third place winners. Our People's Choice Award has now helped us reach over 16,000 people across the planet from as far away as China and Saudi Arabia. Our commemorative yearbook for 2021 is 25% bigger than our yearbook was in 2020, and we've added space for our branches to reach out to their champions and use it as a method of outreach and community building. This year we had more prizes and gifts for our branch champions and finalists in an effort to provide better value to our branches. Josh, next slide, please. 2022, we're still facing a lot of the challenges of COVID and quite a bit of uncertainty as things are changing across the country from day to day. So we have landed on, with the help of our education committee and in conjunction with conferences with several of our branches, a hybrid competition structure with COVID-safe finals in New York. So the way that our competition will be structured this year, we hope, is that all of our branch champions, as they did in 2020 and 2021, are going to compete in semifinals via a recorded performance. Our top 10 finalists will travel to New York City under COVID-safe conditions. All attendees must be vaccinated. In terms of our fee structure, participating branches will pay a $150 initial fee, and only those branches whose champions advance to the finals will pay the remaining $450 of the $600 annual fee. And that, of course, will go towards room and board for their champions while they're in New York City. This structure, of course, depends completely on conditions on the ground by January of 2022, but it allows us the flexibility to pivot quickly and react to what's happening as it comes. Josh, next slide, please. In terms of what this hybrid structure is going to look like, we're always of a mind of giving our branches the best possible value for their investment in our programs, and this year is no different. Our champions who come to New York City will be staying in a private room at a 4-star hotel in order to limit their exposure. They will, for the first time, have a parent allowed to stay with them at ESU expense. These are enhanced experiences that we're planning for them. Better trips, nicer meals, better shows. It'll be an extended weekend. Our last live competition in 2019, the students arrived on Sunday, competed on Monday, left on Tuesday. This time they'll be here from Saturday to Tuesday. And we now have the potential to include parents in excursions as well. Again, all parents and students must show proof of vaccination. That's a New York City requirement. And this is all pursuant to the conditions on the ground in January. Josh, next slide, please. And we're very, very pleased and excited to announce the launch of the ESU National Shakespeare Writing Program. This is a program that was requested and inspired by much of the work that's happening in our branches that we've now taken on a national level. This gives us the opportunity to create year-round Shakespeare programming so that our Shakespeare competition becomes an opportunity to connect with our communities year-round. It expands our reach beyond just our young performers. Not all students express their love of the English language through performance. Some do it through writing. And so we're giving them opportunities to do both creative and analytical writing, but always focused on Shakespeare. Our programs are designed to engage students that we haven't engaged before, specifically special education students and students who are recent emigres and students for whom English is a new language, as well as our general education students and, of course, advanced placement. The program was actually launched as a beta a year ago in beta testing under the Frankenstein competition, which was something that we did in partnership with the Morgan Museum in New York. And that taught us that there was a desire out there. We expected 20 or 30 responses from the New York area. We ended up with over 200 from across the United States. Providing quality teacher support, which in that case we received from the Morgan, really proved to be the linchpin to get teachers to welcome these competitions into their classrooms. This year we're providing lesson plans and extensive resources. In addition, we've got customized branch involvement because we were given the mandate as programming staff this year by Karen that all of our programming and all of our budget expenditures should be seen through the lens of branch benefit, branch expansion, and branch opportunities. And so this program has potential for both local and regional participation, meaning that while national will do all the, as we say, heavy lifting in terms of forms and accepting submissions, the branches have the opportunities to participate on a local level, where we will be very happy to send them their local submissions that they can then adjudicate and provide local prizes for, but national will provide national prizes. We are launching these 3 competitions this year, but the reason that it's a writing program and not a writing competition is that in the future we plan on non-competitive events to follow. And Josh, I believe there's one more slide. Again, the goal of this program is to create academic value for our students, to provide pedagogically sound resources for our community of teachers, and to enrich our branches by providing them these opportunities with minimal buy-in. There are some launch dates here. Ideally, our first competition will launch this weekend. We're waiting on our new website to get our forms out, so these dates are tentative. Josh, I believe there may be one more slide. Or is it? And then finally, the new landmark, an ESU magazine and journal that we're hoping to have completely rolled out by September of 22. We're looking at a revival of the 1930s publication. And Landmark, again, is the name that we used back in the 1930s. This is just a working title. The idea is that we want a venue to celebrate the ESU, both past, present, and future. We want it to be a platform to celebrate our history, our mission, our members, initiatives, events at our branches, opportunities for our branches to connect with each other and with their communities, literary contributions from luminaries, from our members, even from program participants. The idea of Landmark is that it becomes this community vehicle. Interregional, interbranch communications is more or less the order of the day. We could promote branch events and educational programs. We're looking, as I said, at a digital launch in 2022 and a quarterly print edition by 2024. And hopefully by the end of our next fiscal quarter, we'll have a report on possible revenue streams coming from Landmark. And I see Bob wanted to know about slides. Bob, yes, I'll be very happy to provide you with those slides. And I think Randy wanted to know about whether they were for high school or middle school. And the answer is yes. So the first competition that's launching, middle school students will be more than welcome. The other 2 competitions, because they are of higher rigor, will be for high school students. And I think that's all I have for you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Betty. Can you hear me?
We can. Sorry, let me get the slides back up. Alice.
All right. Back to one of my favorite programs. Just to say hello to everyone, I'm Alice Ewell. I'm the Education Programs Director of International Scholarships and Debate. And I'm always looking for ways to expand the impact and intersectionality of the ESU programs. Karen mentioned during yesterday's breakout session that communication and collaboration have been key. And for the past year, that's exactly what we've been doing with international and debate programs. Starting out with our oldest program, the Secondary School Exchange Scholarship. I'm happy to report we worked closely with Jane Easton and Rachel at Dartmouth House, and we made some real progress in increasing the number of schools that participate and strengthening the scholarship committee with new members. And I'm very happy to report we actually have 10 students currently living and studying in the UK and the US as we speak. So this was quite an accomplishment in the age of COVID, that we still had students who wanted to spend a gap year. It's such a pivotal program, and it has made such an impact on so many students' lives, and many of those students have become active alum. I'm also happy to report that Jane confirmed we will again be hosting a Thanksgiving event for SSE students and ESU alum, which is on November 22nd. So if anybody happens to be crossing the pond, we would like to welcome you to that. And of course, we're all very excited about the Princess Royal visit in January. Josh, could you go to our next? Oh, and this, of course, the Leward Morse Scholarship Program, which is a merit-based scholarship that provides a $25,000 award for students from HBCUs. I'm so pleased to welcome yet another of our Leward Morse alum, Bruce Thompson, to the board of directors. Jill Richardson is also. As you see, so many of our scholarship alum do become active members of ESU branches. This past year, Mackenzie Clark did have to defer her scholarship for graduate study in the UK, is what she will be doing now. And this is a new event. This is the first time we've ever had to do this, but it had the full support of National as well as our Leward Morse Scholarship Committee. George Pratt, who was awarded the scholarship last year, has just completed his application and will be studying in the UK, COVID willing, this winter and spring. And you see up on the picture, normally we have the wonderful occurrence of the interviews take place in New York, and we have a dinner here in New York. Last year, we did have to do that via Zoom. But as you can see on the Zoom, we had a couple of our alum and our alum ambassador. We also actually had a great focus this year in strengthening our committee, and we have a couple new scholarship committee members as well. Josh, thank you. Teachers Learning Abroad. This is really a pivotal program for the ESU that's been going on since 1957. And all of us in the organization can be proud that the ESU is really one of the only institutions in the country that provides scholarships to teachers to study abroad for 2 to 6 weeks. And that is directly through the generosity and dedication of our ESU branches. Just yesterday, we actually had the pleasure of Stephanie Rees joining us for our breakout session. We actually had 3 TLAB scholars who did study in Edinburgh last summer and 1 remotely. The other 35 teachers are all looking forward to taking advantage of the generous scholarships for 2022. And of course, I will be sending out the information on the dates and details as soon as we have that from the UK. This is also one of the programs where our alum become really integral parts of the branches. We have that quote up on the slide from Stephen Weber, but also Kate shared during our centennial celebration, the president of the ESU branch, she was a TLAB scholar. So it's such a great model, and it's such a rewarding program. So I encourage any of the branches interested to really reach out. We're here to help you in any way to make these scholarships available. Next one, Josh, thanks. This one did have to be put on hold this past year due to COVID, but I'm happy to report Travel and Learn Abroad, which is a 1-week educational trip for lifelong learners. We've done it in the past to Dickens London and Stratford upon Avon. I have heard from Shakespeare's Birthplace Trust. Fingers crossed we will be proceeding in summer 2022. We're looking at dates in late July, early August. And I will, of course, be sending out information on that as soon as it's available. And our middle school debate program, again, despite the challenges of COVID, we really had a robust debate season. We had 14, really almost 2,000 students from all over the country were able to debate remotely in tournaments, both through the New York Debate League and in the West Coast, our Claremont McKenna College connections. The Esu really depends on our dedicated team of coaches, teachers, and volunteer judges. And we're always looking for ways to expand the professional development possibilities. And this year we actually had an amazing debate-centered instruction institute that the Esu directly helped facilitate. And over 36 public school teachers from across the country came together for 3 days in July. And it was really transformative to watch, to see how not only is this program great for students who want to learn public speaking and the parliamentary model of debate, but for teachers actually to incorporate it into their curriculum to help teach Shakespeare, to help teach poetry. So it was a really exciting initiative that we're really looking forward to following and being a part of more this year.
Hello, my name is Rona Weitz, and I'm the Immigrant Programs Director at ESU National. I wanted to talk to you about my enthusiasm for our programs with English language learners. At a recent staff meeting, Karen asked us to talk about what motivated us to get up in the morning and come to work. And for me, it is definitely our immigrant programs. In my view, this is one of the organization's best kept secrets. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about the programs that we offer for immigrants and other newcomers to the US. There are 2 programs. They are timely, relevant, and have impact, and they speak directly to our shared mission and vision as an organization. The first program is English in Action. This is a conversation program that matches ESU volunteers with English language learners. The pairs meet together once a week to practice English. Actually, you can go back to the previous slide. I'm not ready for that one yet. Thank you, Josh. The goals of the program are to increase English language skills while building confidence. In addition, the program promotes cross-cultural exchange and provides a window into life in the US. It also creates opportunities for lifelong learning for ESU volunteers. The program has a long history. 10,000 students from over 90 countries have benefited from the program. And what is really special is that English in Action brings together people and communities that would otherwise not have an opportunity to meet. Whether you're a diplomat, a refugee, an asylum seeker, or an international exchange student, you will feel at home in the English in Action program. We invest in our volunteers, and that is what makes the program thrive and continue to grow. Volunteers really are the heartbeat of this program. We provide training, workshops, and monthly support groups to ensure that volunteer tutors are successful in this role. From my perspective, being a part of English in Action is a chance to share your passion for the English language while making a difference in the life of a newcomer to the US. Josh, could we move to the next slide, please? I'm now going to talk a little bit about the impact of the program. Last year, volunteers contributed 38,000 hours tutoring English. 93% reported that they felt rewarded and engaged by participating in the program, and 90% felt that they learned about other cultures. What do students have to say about the program? 90% reported that they felt more fluent in English after participating in English in Action, and 82% were more confident speaking English. Josh, can we have the next slide, please? We also run a program exclusively for new immigrants. This program is called the Andrew Romay New Immigrant Center, or ARNIC for short. This is a scholarship program that empowers new immigrants. We help new immigrants acquire the skills, resources, and networks they need to build successful lives in the US. Again, one of the primary goals of the program is to increase English language proficiency. In addition, it helps to build professional and social networks and to remove barriers to success that new immigrants often face. We work to promote the full integration of immigrants into all aspects of civic, economic, and political life. And an important element as well is to reduce social isolation that immigrants often feel. Next slide, please, Josh. So who do we serve? In 2021, 336 new immigrants benefited from our program. They came from 60 countries. All have documented immigrant status. They also have a demonstrated financial need and an intermediate level of English. At present, 51% of the immigrants in the program are unemployed. Their median income is $19,200, and they tend to be a highly skilled group, with 68% having a bachelor's degree or higher. Next slide, please. I think it's our students who can speak most eloquently to the success of this program. Last year, when we surveyed our recent graduates, 100% reported that their English had improved. 95% indicated that they got closer to achieving their professional goals, and 91% reported an improved knowledge of US civic life. Next slide, please, Josh. I wanted to end by talking a little bit about some of the new initiatives that we'll be launching over the next year. First, okay, this is in the reverse order. Was there one before that you skipped, Josh, or no? Okay, I'll speak to this one. So the professional mentoring program is something that we hope to begin a year ago, but put on hold because of the pandemic. So this is a program for members of the Immigrant Center. It is a program that will match immigrant job seekers with US professionals from a range of industries and fields. In the pilot program, we'll be drawing the mentors from our already existing base of ESU volunteers who participate in the English in Action program. We're calling, the goal here is that the program is tailored to the individual needs of immigrant job seekers. And the idea is that each participant will produce an individualized career action plan with specific targets and benchmarks to meet by the end of the program. Our hope is to help immigrants navigate the job market. When you ask members of our new Immigrant Center what their primary goals are, they generally say, first, to improve English, and secondly, to find meaningful work in their area of expertise or training. So we hope through this program to help expand professional networks, to help immigrants develop an increased knowledge of US business culture, and to overcome barriers to success. I believe there should be one more slide.
I'm going to briefly drop out of share and start it up again, Rona, so that we can get that started.
Okay. While you're looking for that, I'm happy to talk about the next initiative, which is something that we are calling English in Action Across America. So this is an expansion of our current English in Action program. For the most part, branches have only participated occasionally in this program, and this is a chance for branch volunteers to join our weekly online conversation program. In this model, the branches will recruit volunteer tutors, and ESU National will recruit students from our New York City scholarship program. Thank you. This is the right slide now. The branches will be supported and have access to the full range of trainings and workshops that we offer. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to sit in on one of the breakout sessions on membership, And one of the themes that emerged during the discussion was a need to grow and diversify our branch membership. This is a unique opportunity to engage volunteers, to attract new members to your branch, and to share what is unique about your culture and tradition and different regions. It's also an opportunity to connect to other ESU programs. In conclusion, I wanted to say that we are excited about the opportunity to work together with your branch over the next year. We would like to find opportunities for greater collaboration with branches on our immigrant programs and to find ways to make connections between the programs for English language learners and other educational programs at the ESU like Shakespeare, T-Lab, and Luard Morse. Thank you very much.
And Rona, I just want to mention that there is a question that was submitted from Jackie Abrams, perhaps. So good afternoon. Is there opportunity for high school newcomers to participate in the English in Action program or any other program that serves the same goals?
Thank you for that question. This is a discussion that we have had over the years. At this point, our program is really for adults. You must be 18 or older to participate. And it is an exciting idea that maybe we should begin to discuss, but for various reasons related to child protection issues and compliance that would be necessary to put in place in order to make that a safe, thriving program, we have not gone in that direction. We've also been asked in the past if high school volunteers could participate as tutors in the English in Action program. And again, that's something on the back burner, but at this point, the program is only for adult volunteers and adult English language speakers.
Thank you, Rona.
Thank you.
All right. So for those of you who don't know me, I hope most of you do, my name is Joshua Kepo Gonzalez. I am the Director of Branch Services at the English Speaking Union. I'm going to talk a little bit about the branches and branch services over the 2020-2021 fiscal year. So it's really, I think, difficult. Oh, and I'll just see something in the chat box. Let's see. So actually, Rona, I'm just going to pull you briefly back because there was an additional question. I just want to have that. Some of my high schoolers are 18 or older. Could they participate? And I guess that would be English or Action. Oh, where'd Rona go? Rona?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, Josh.
Now I can.
Yeah, I lost the connection for a minute. I think there was a question from Jackie about the fact that some of the high schoolers are 18 or older and can they participate in the program. So perhaps that's a discussion that we could have offline. At this point, we don't have the mechanisms in place. And I'd love to know from Jackie if she's talking about as newcomers who would benefit from the tutoring program or as volunteers, but perhaps we could connect at another time following this meeting.
All right, great. Thank you, Rona. When we talk about branch services during the 2020-2021 fiscal year, I think it's hard not to talk about the happy hour program, which was largely, I think, an enormous success. This program was actually first ideated by a branch member, Josh Schnabel in the Kansas City branch, who was looking for a way of essentially creating programming during the pandemic, a way for branches to have a semblance of connection and community while we couldn't meet in person. Because I think, as Karen has stated previously, one of the core kind of principles and tenets of the English Speaking Union is that kind of in-person communication and kind of sociability. So the happy hour was created. This is an online program, and I hope most of you have been able to attend. We had 17 speakers in 2020, 2021 that were all curated and cultivated by our branches and by our wonderful committee that actually does a lot of the seeking of essentially all of the seeking of our speakers that we have. They go out to branches and find out who branches would be interested in hearing from, or speakers within branches, members that might be interested in saying something during a happy hour session. And because of that, our topics range dramatically, from anywhere from antique appraisal to Gilbert and Sullivan to poetry to geopolitical works concerning Syria and Russia. So in terms of the gamut, it really do run in a very large spectrum of what appears on the happy hour. These are more kind of informal conversations. And I do want to thank once again, our happy hour committee, which is led by Karen Blair Brand of our Central Pennsylvania branch, for really doing a lot of that legwork and identifying these speakers. From there, the speakers are promoted via the national website, via emails from national to members, and we do the production element, the Zoom, the online, kind of what you see here for the annual conference. We handle that aspect to help the speakers present their message to our members. And yes, it's been enormously successful in that 98% of our attendees enjoy presentations. We've had over 3,000 registrations during the happy hour session. And this I'm really talking about is just for 2020, 2021, or what we called season 1 and 2. Season 3 has already begun. We've already had 4 happy hour presentations, and we have more coming up. So please visit esuus.info/HH for recordings of previous sessions, as well as information on upcoming sessions. And of course, throughout my presentation, if you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A and chat modules. I will get to those in the order received. I'll move on from happy hour into one of the other, and Karen mentioned this as well, but one of the other major initiatives during the pandemic was we could call it a reestablishment of a regional representation model, because as I think most of you know, regional chairs used to exist, but were removed from the bylaws in 2017 at the Kentucky annual general meeting. There was kind of a vacuum left of I think an important position that allows for coordination within regions, within branches, and between the national office. And this was something that really came out of the the strategic planning committee that met, and then their work was further kind of refined by our branch task force group. And both of their recommendations were to bring back a regional model. The regional representatives model is now these are individuals who are committed to growing and developing branches and membership and forming a kind of as a liaison with the national office. They're led by a chair who, if you come to any of our breakout sessions, we've had the privilege of meeting Dr. Julia Churchill-Vanderwater, who is also a board member. And in that position, she reports on the concerns and activities of the regional representatives to the national board. So hopefully you know your regional representative. If you don't, I'm going to briefly, that you met them also at your regional meeting earlier during this conference on Friday. But Region 1 is Linda McIntosh of the Boston branch. Region 2 is Lawrence Hollingsworth of the Charleston branch. Region 3 is Susan Merritt Nelson of the Washington, D.C. branch. Region 4 is Dr. Julia Churchill-Vanderwater. Region 5 is Barbara Hughes. Region 6 is Bill Kennedy. Region 5 is Barbara Hughes of Central Florida. Region 6 is Bill Kennedy of Cleveland. And apologies, Julia is both a member of the Lexington and Charlottesville branches. And then Region 7 is Dave Grissett of the New Orleans branch, and Region 8 is Michael Thornton of the Denver branch. And I think one of the kind of concerns that comes out of this year as well is membership in 2020-21. And COVID caused a precipitous decline in memberships around the country. I think that most branches are aware of that. But some branches even opted during this year to say, we're not even going to do a renewal. We're going to take a year off. A couple of branches did this. Salisbury and Austin come to mind at the top of my head. But I'm also happy to report that they are now back and did full membership renewals for this year from 2021 to 2022. So it's good that branches are now kind of coming out of this year where there really was no local activity. because yeah, the renewal mailing that was sent out between July and December 2020 had one of our lowest response rates either. And I think it makes sense. And I think we saw the most precipitous declines in branches, the largest percentage of non-renewing members in branches that are noted for having a very, very high amount of local activity. So branches that tend to have monthly meetings or even bi-weekly meetings, we saw the highest amount of people not rejoining. And that's likely and largely because members in those areas see the vast amount of the benefit of membership being those social gatherings and those interactions. Other branches that tend to meet more sporadically actually had more stable numbers, which is interesting. But branches did move to online meetings and Zoom with mixed results. I love this image to the right here. So this is our Syracuse branch. This is one of the first, I received this image, I think, in May of 2020. So this is 2 months after the pandemic really started, and they were going to have their garden party and their hat contest regardless of the situation. So I hope they don't mind that I use this and put this image up, but this is the Syracuse branch. And you can see some delightful hats in that picture because they would not be stopped. And this was the first image I received from any branch who decided to move online to Zoom. Branches moved online to Zoom with varying results. Some people in some branches had success in holding large meetings. I know Central Florida, as Barbara Hughes reported at the breakout session, had 70, 80 members attending. Other branches struggled to find that their members were in a position where they felt technologically confident enough to join Zoom, which I think has gone down over time. And we're seeing more and more of our members adapting to Zoom and online meetings. And I'm just happy to report that over the last 3 months of our membership renewal, we've seen marked improvement in membership numbers. After it was interesting to look at 3 weeks after our initial mailing went out, we compared numbers from 2021 to 2020, and we found that there was essentially we doubled our numbers in terms of renewals. So renewals this year have started off much more strongly. They're not generally where they would be in terms of our percentage of a normal year, because I think there is still some reticence to get together in person, and memberships are still lagging behind a little bit, but we hope that in our subsequent mailings, we'll be able to pick that number up a bit and have a membership numbers more in line with where we've been in subsequent years. If you have, I don't see any questions yet, but if you have any, please feel free to put them in now. I'll wait a beat because I know it takes a second to type those questions in, but there being none, I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Beth Bigelow, who is going to talk a little bit about the Evelyn Wrench Speaker Series. Beth?
Great, thank you, Josh. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Bigelow. I am the Executive Assistant at the English Speaking Union. And over the past few months, I have been working closely with Karen Karpowicz to plan the revitalization of the Evelyn Wrench Speaker Series. So I'm just going to go through a quick overview of how the Wrench program works, including how it's been functioning during the COVID-19 pandemic and what our plans are for its development in the future. So the Evelyn Wrench Speaker Series was named for our founder of the ESU, Evelyn Wrench. The program provides speakers to ESU branches throughout the United States. Each speaker tour lasts between 1 and 2 weeks, during which Wrench speakers hold in-person lectures at the respective branch. Speakers have been renowned historians, authors, politicians, speaking on a wide variety of topics, including art and literature, current events, history, politics, travel, and really anything else that you can think of under the sun. The lectures are open to the public as well as to ESU members, of course, and the program itself was conceived as a way to engage the public and extend reach for potential membership recruitments. Next slide, please. Thanks. Oh, sorry, I think, did you skip one? Oh, thank you. Okay. Thanks. How it works. Yes. Thank you. Thanks to the ESU Centennial Evelyn Wrench Speaker Series Endowment Fund, which was established in 2019 with a lead gift from board member Mr. Donald Best, the National ESU is able to underwrite Wrench speakers' international travel to and from the United States, as many of them are coming over from the UK, as well as speakers' travel to and from the branches. Once speakers arrive at the branches then underwrite their local accommodation, meals, and local travel. Next slide, please. The Wrench Speaker Series is one of the ESU's longest established programs, and it has proved to be very popular throughout the years with our branches. We had made plans to revitalize the Wrench program this fall in 2021. However, unfortunately, due to international travel restrictions, as well as COVID-19 Delta variant that was sweeping across the United States, it just wasn't feasible to continue with the program at that time. So we are continuing on with our plans for the in-person events as soon as possible. In the meanwhile, we have a kickoff virtual lecture planned for November. Charles Spencer will speak on his new book, The White Ship, which is about the sinking of the White Ship in 1120 and the Norman Conquest. And then moving forward, in spring of 2022, we have a number of speakers already slated for in-person Wrench tours in the US, including Sir Christopher Hum, former British ambassador to China, Elizabeth St. John, author of The Lady of the Tower, and James Stebbings, who is a music and theater historian. So as you can see, we're very excited to keep moving forward and planning the return of the Evelyn Wrench Speaker Series. And that concludes my remarks on the Wrench program, and I will open it up to Karen Karpovich if she would like to add anything.
No, I wouldn't like, I mean, I think that we attempted, I think in the spring of 2020, we did successfully launch the program, and with Elizabeth St. John and Christopher Hum, who never quite made it because of the pandemic. And the response was quite phenomenal. I think branches were receiving over 50, some branches received over 100 people showing up for the event, which leads us to believe that we're on to something new and exciting, not new, but reestablishing something new and exciting, which we're looking forward to. So one of the key components of this is the fact that I think we want to really see branches use it as an opportunity to cultivate new and long-term membership. So we do encourage that. I have one brief announcement to any of our current new board members where we're supposed to have a board meeting, a special board meeting immediately following this. I think we called for 1:30. The board meeting will happen right after the AGM concludes. So if anyone has a question on that, please just hang in there. And as soon as we finish the AGM, you'll be able to dial into the special board meeting. Does anybody have any questions for me about Wrench? I know a number of you have reached out about wanting the Wrench speaker, and we are working through it as quickly as we can. We are dealing with travel restrictions from the UK, and we are hope as of November 1st that all of those restrictions will be eliminated, and we could really start moving more effectively on really solidifying dates, because all of our speakers come from the UK, except for Elizabeth St. John, who's British, but she lives in San Diego, which makes it a little easy. So I think that, thank goodness for that. And we are excited about the Charles Spencer visit. We are going to be doing a national Wrench event on early November, I think around the 10th, and Charles Spencer will be speaking on his book, The White Ship, which is about the Norman Conquest, and that's going to be quite exciting. So does anybody else have any questions? Okay, I think we're going to move now back to Paul.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much indeed. The range of programs and opportunities which are being provided by our organization, I think is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Every time I listen to the ideas, the plans, the strategies, the moving forward concepts, it's always a very positive, it's always a very, very wonderful opportunity for me to see how this organization is able to adapt, to grow, to expand, and to really develop itself throughout time and time again. So Karen and your team, Betty, Alice, Rona, Elizabeth, and Josh, thank you all very, very much for doing a truly tremendous, tremendous job. We have an agenda item here, which is any other business. And so I'll open the floor to any questions, concerns, issues, or comments that would like to be made by the membership. And so the floor is open. Josh will manage the questions.
And yes, if you have any other business, you can enter them into either the chat or the Q&A module.
I also wanted to make one more quick announcement. Once we adjourn the meeting, Josh is going to be showing right after the adjournment of the meeting, the timeline, the 100-year-old timeline for the ESU, which you've been seeing throughout the conference. But Josh is going to now show it in its entirety. So once we adjourn, if you would stay on the call for a few minutes, you will see the historical timeline. Anyway.
Okay.
Well, no other business has been added.
No other business. Well, that's very, very nice. Just to sum up, really, the meeting, the opportunities, the weekend, and for me, the past 6 years as the chairman of the English-speaking Union of the United States. As Jane remarked very, very appropriately, the idea of the ESU is something that has survived, and it has survived because, as Prince Philip said, it's relevant. But not only is it relevant, it also has shown its relevance by effectively adapting to a world which, between 1918 and today, has changed beyond any conceivable consideration. Not even H.G. Wells could have come up with some of the things that have changed our world in this 100 years. English, the English language, however, continues to dominate the world. It is the new lingua franca. It is the language not only of the quote-unquote English-speaking peoples, but it's also the language of science. It's the language of technology. It's the language of entertainment, the language of business and finance. It's no longer a cultural imperialistic relic of the past. And it is now probably the single most unifying factor in global relations, the English language. I remember when I was headmaster of the Bangkok Pattana School, the British International School in Thailand, it was a huge school, over 2,000 students. And among the students were a large number of young Thai young people who came with very, very limited English. And I noticed that during the early years of their education, where they were taught primarily by British teachers, when they acquired the English language, it was with a distinctly pronounced British accent. Very, very pronounced British accent. By the time they got into high school, it was American. They all spoke American English. Their teachers were still British, but they all spoke American English. Why? Because social communications, the internet, music, everything that engaged their lives had come through the American spectrum, and the English language had acquired that flavor of the English, of the Americanisms. But, you know, with the power of the English language, there are new responsibilities that have penetrated the whole global experience, and things that we would never have anticipated. For instance, in my role as ambassador of the Order of Malta to the United Nations, I've been involved in promoting a program called a doctor-to-doctor program for, it's rather like the Doctors Without Borders, but these are doctors who are located in their own country and who telecommunicate by video links and conference calls with doctors in other parts of the world. I had the opportunity of witnessing an encounter between a doctor at Mayo Clinic and a doctor in a team of doctors in a Syrian, in a refugee camp for Syrians on the Turkish border with Syria, and they were operating on a child who had a significant problem, and the doctor from the Mayo Clinic was guiding the surgery through this video link, all of it conducted in English, considering the diversity of the world. Likewise, many of you in the English-speaking Union are also members of the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, which is linked and very closely associated with the Order of Malta. And at the annual conference last week in Boston, a couple of weeks ago in Boston, I heard a very, very interesting story, very, very similar to this one, about a team of doctors from the ophthalmic hospital in London who were supervising surgery that was being conducted at the ophthalmic hospital of St. John in Jerusalem. Again, all of it in English. So, you know, the English language is a tremendous force and a tremendous power. Leadership within our organizations is critical. It's essential for any organization's survival. And I do think that we are blessed to enjoy a strong branch structure, very, very strong leadership from within the branches, a leadership which has certainly transcended and been through tremendous challenges with the COVID-19 pandemic, but which has come through. And the presence of all of you here today is an ample testimony of the power of that leadership. We enjoy a strong branch structure. We're going to be working much harder to reinforce and to strengthen that. We are also leaders in people-to-people diplomacy. And that was one of the missions of Sir Evelyn Wrench, was to create a new kind of diplomacy. And he wrote about it and he spoke about it on many occasions. People-to-people diplomacy, where a range of national interests and just ordinary people getting together, talking, communicating, learning about each other, sharing each other's experiences, and understanding that, in a sense, what unifies them is so far and so much greater than what separates them. And we need to redouble our efforts here. We need to really build on the wonderful programs that we're developing that have been part of the ESU for so many years. And especially on our people-to-people diplomacy, engage more frequently our branches in foreign countries, outside of the United States, outside of the United Kingdom. We have a huge network of ESU organizations, many of which are absolutely dying to connect, to have association with, and to be in touch with us in America, in England, wherever we happen to be. We need to look harder, I think, as an organization at engaging young people. Jane mentioned that as well, and I have to say I didn't know what she was going to be saying, but what she said was so appropriate and so on target. And engaging young people is absolutely critical, not only to our future as an organization, but to the future of our world. Hundreds of thousands of young Americans, students and teachers, have participated in our programs. Hundreds of thousands, not tens of, but hundreds of thousands, especially the Shakespeare competition. And we need to really develop a much stronger alumni outreach to those students and to engage them. We need to harness the strength, the vision, and the energy of young people. It is a challenge. because they have so many other demands, so many other groups, organizations, technologies are trying to gain their attention. But that doesn't mean that there are not ones out there who would be very amenable to participating and in sharing the things that we're engaged with and in, and who want to be a part of it. So this is an opportunity. We need to identify some of these young leaders within this ESU community, and we need to give them a voice in our deliberations, not just a voice declaiming Shakespeare, but a voice talking about what the English language means and what it could mean to the world that they are going to inherit and ultimately that they are going to be shaping. During Shakespeare 22, which we heard a little bit about, and I'm very excited about the fact that it'll be in person again and that the finalists will be coming to New York. I intend to invite all of our finalists to a reception at our UN mission to meet with members of the United Nations Secretary General's Youth Advisory Group. These are young people who from around the world, and many of them are located in New York, who are heavily involved right now in the COP26 preparations on the climate conference in Scotland next month. And we have a group of people who will be participating in that conference from youth groups around both the US as well as the UK. So here's an opportunity for us to share something with a group of young people who have already shown leadership and who are already engaged and at the right point in their lives to realize and understand the importance of what's going on around them. Our world is riven by dissent and conflict in many ways similar to those faced by our early leaders, Sir Evelyn Wrench, Sir Winston Churchill, Dwight Eisenhower. Those names alone, however, should inspire hope in our ability to find pathways to peace, to adapt to the needs of a troubled world, and to make our adaptation through inspired leadership, through best practice, and through global outreach. We can, we will, and we have to make a difference as an organization. In his play, Coriolanus, Shakespeare sees his protagonist, a troubled but dynamic leader, rejected by the political forces of Rome, which ultimately expel him. He says, there's a world elsewhere to his followers. And it's that world elsewhere that we need to really be looking for and looking towards. That new world of change, adaptation, focus, communication, fellowship, negotiation, goodwill among all peoples. Those are the things that will lead us forward in the spirit of our founder. And I close the meeting with my gratitude to the English Speaking Union for, thank you. All right, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate that. Now we are going to move into the next session of our meeting. So those of you who are scheduled to join.
Paul, we're going to show the time capsule video now.
Okay, we're gonna, yes, all right. We'll see that video and then we'll move on.
So Josh.
Well, hello everyone. You should now see sharing on your screen. It's actually not a video. This is a website that can be shared. And actually, I'd like to bring Laura Vonderheide on camera as well. Laura, I know that you're, there you are. Hi, Laura.
Hi, everyone.
If for those of you that don't know, Laura Vonderheide is our marketing and communications manager. And I first want to laud Laura for the hours and days and weeks of time that went into creating this website, and also to Beth Bigelow, who helped Laura in combing through historical materials, board minutes starting from the 1920s to 30s, to find interesting pieces of ESU history to share with everyone on this website that will be living in perpetuity at the web address esutimecapsule.org. If you look at it now, it doesn't have its currently DNS'd. It takes 24 to 48 hours for that to take to change so that the internet understands where the website is. But that website, that web address is once again esutimecapsule.org. When you come to this website, you're going to be greeted by this homepage. That has on the left here essentially a looping GIF of historical individuals and moments from the ESU's past. Of course, we have Taft, for example, is on screen now when he's at Oxford, when he was president of the English-speaking Union in 1921. Philip, there we see the Queen Mother addressing New York City. In the 50s, there is Eisenhower and Churchill seated on a couch together in 1962 when Eisenhower was himself chairman of the English-speaking Union. There's Sir Evelyn Wrench as well, with some nice historic archival footage there. The website contains 3 sections, essentially. The ESU History Timeline, which Laura will have Laura go over, which is also the element that you've seen if you've watched any of either the Margaret Thatcher or the Evelyn Wrench panel discussion, the kind of scrolling historical timeline, which I'll let Laura talk about in a moment. We also have the Our Stories section, which is, this is if you participated in the 100 Years, 100 Stories program, you can find your story featured here. In addition, we also have the Heritage Society as well, which if you were a member for more than 20 years at the centennial mark of the English-speaking Union, you are part of the Heritage Society. So we'll go over that as well. I'm not going to jump into the stories section. And also, I'm going to, let me see, I'm going to invite someone to share a word with us. So Loveday, you're going to see a prompt promoting you to a panelist so that you can turn your video and audio on. I hope you accept so that you can share your story with us. But the Our Stories section here is a listing of the stories that were submitted as part of the 100 Years, 100 Stories campaign. So you can click on any one of these stories in these carousels. They are organized alphabetically to read or listen or watch, in some cases, for video submissions, a story submitted by our members. I believe, and let's see, I know that she rejoined. Let me just see if I can spot her right now in the panelist section.
Okay.
There you are, Loveday. I'm going to go ahead and navigate. So I'm going to just saw it.
Can you hear me, Josh?
I can. Hi, Loveday. So
Great.
I have now on the screen your story that you submitted for the 100 Years, 100 Stories. So if you'd like to, I'd like to have you take a moment to read the story because I think it's quite delightful. I think everyone should enjoy it.
Okay, I'm actually going to read it from my phone because the print on the computer is so tiny. I would have to use a magnifying glass, but I've got it on my phone. Okay, so here we go. In the 1990s, the city of Seattle still had a British consul, complete with a lovely home as the consulate. Once a year, the consul would invite Seattle branch ESU members to a spring or summer reception. Our members provided a lavish buffet, our host the bar, bless him. At some point in the past, the dining room had been recarpeted with a solid white carpet. This is the room where the tasty buffet was laid out on the enormous dining table with the bar nearby. Thus, people were walking around with glasses of wine, some of it red, and plates laden with food piled high, just waiting to land on that carpet. That evening, someone had brought a large dish of meatballs in barbecue sauce. Think the color red. Inevitably, my British friend Judy Newell and I saw someone's overloaded plate tilt a little too much and several meatballs rolled under the table onto that beautiful white carpet. I should have said they bounced and rolled under the table. We looked at each other and sprang into action. So Here were two grown women. Judy was in her 20s during World War II, and I'm a baby boomer, wearing elegant dresses and high heels. And I remember I also had a big hat on, crawling underneath that table, soapy cloths in hand to gather up runaway meatballs. As we paused in somewhat, or I should say, very cramped position, Judy exclaimed, "Oh, this reminds me of the war." And I exclaimed, "Chasing meatballs reminds you of the war?" And she replied, "No, just diving under this table." And she laughed. So we didn't have time to get the story out of her then, but later that evening, I finally got more of the story. Judy worked and lived in London during the Blitz. One walked into buildings whose entrances were stacked high with sandbags. Everyone knew where the entrances to the tube were in case you were outside when the sirens started going off. Goods were extremely scarce. Ration coupons were very precious. According to Judy, life during World War II was hard, but one learned to take things in stride. The fact that London was a target made her and her friends all the more determined to carry on with their work and their daily lives, all the while knowing that bombs could drop from the sky at any moment. That's just the way life was during wartime. To quote the late Duke of Edinburgh, "You just got on with it." Judy is gone now, but I think often of this petite, white-haired woman who met the Blitz with such cheerful determination and who gave so much of her time and effort to the ESU. If we hadn't spent time together under the table cleaning up after those errant meatballs, I might never have learned her story. And I'll just add that I think this was the only time that Judy spoke to me about the war and the Blitz. So it really is a very meaningful experience. Finally, by the way, we managed to get all the barbecue sauce stains out of that pesky white carpet. We left it cleaner than it was before. Thank you.
Thank you, Loveday. That was delightful. I hope everyone really enjoyed it, because I know that when we were going through it at staff reading the stories, that one certainly stuck out to us. We thought it was a very nice, a very tender moment to share with all of you. So you can find this and other stories on the Our Stories page. And if you have any other stories that you'd like to submit, or if you haven't submitted a story and you'd like to submit it, there is a link there to submit your ESU story. This is a living web page. Things will be updated as we receive more content and stories from you, our members. I'm now going to invite Laura to say a few words about the ESU History Timeline.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's nice to be here. I've been in the shadows, but I've been present at all of the events this weekend, and I just want to say how invigorating it's been. So thanks for enlightening me. Yeah, so concerning this timeline, you probably recognize it. It's been a sort of visual motif throughout the weekend that we've used to spotlight prominent figures at the beginning of lectures. So as part of this timeline, you're obviously able to go through chronologically by year. And Josh, if you could click on 1925. So each of these, for example, you're able to click in. So in 1925, the membership of the ESU surpassed 10,000 people. And so we've used that as a space to highlight some really amazing media that a bunch of us at ESU headquarters have undug and shown various events from across the country over the years. And as Josh mentioned, this is very much a living website. So as more things are uncovered, which we most certainly will find, more things will be added. Likewise, we've also highlighted, as I mentioned, and as you've seen, very prominent figures from the ESU's history. Of course, people that are foundational to the creation of the organization, such as Prince Philip or such as Evelyn Wrench. But then if you actually go all the way down, we've included people such as Dr. Morse, who we know now as the namesake patron, one of the namesake patrons of the Leeward Morse Scholarship. We additionally have people such as Andrew Romay highlighted, who of course is the very generous benefactor of the Andrew Romay New Immigrant Center, and whose foundation still, as was mentioned during the annual general meeting, contributes significantly to the ESU yearly. And rounding out the bottom, we have of course, Dr. Paul Beresford-Hill. So I encourage all of you to take a look and peruse the timeline, and yeah, just keep visiting because, as mentioned, it's a living website, so more will be added.
And thank you, Laura. And finally, we've already seen that. I just want to mention that a listing of Heritage Society members is on the website as well. As I mentioned, these were members who had over 20 years of membership in the ESU during the centennial. So you can find your name here in the rather impressive list. It's quite long, but there's over 500 members who make up our Heritage Society. So thank you to all of you who are members of the Heritage Society. And that is the new ESU Time Capsule website. We hope that you'll enjoy it. You'll go through it. You'll submit new stories, and you'll add to this collection of media, both historical and current, that we can continue populating it with. So thank you.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you, everybody who put an incredible amount of time and effort into that. That is very, very much, as you say, living history, because hopefully people will be adding to it, and we'll all be able to make additional contributions, and it will be a wonderful testimony to the history of our organization. Well, I think with that, I'll now officially close the annual general meeting at this point, and then move on to a special meeting which our bylaws require us to hold for the nomination of the officers, the nomination of a new chairperson of the English-speaking Union, nomination for a new vice chairperson of the English-speaking Union, and a nomination for the role of president of the English-speaking Union. Karen, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. I just want to announce that at this special board meeting, we will be electing the officers. The new board of directors will be electing the officers. And I invite everyone to come back to the event at 5:30 this evening, which will be our wrap-up event on President Eisenhower. But at that particular point, we'll be making a special announcement on the new board of directors and the new chairman. And we hope to see you there, because we'll be ending the conference at that particular point with that exciting information. So I hope to see you all back there. Thank you. And directly at 3 o'clock today, there is going to be Julia Vanderwater is holding another breakout session for the branches. So please attend that. But also join us at 5:30 for the announcement of the new officers of the corporation. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you everybody for your participation, and I look forward to seeing you all again at 5:30. Take care.